The plan of this series, inshallah, with Shaykh Waleed, we'll also be doing it with Shaykh Yasir, with Jas as well, is to answer Fiqh questions. There's been a lot of unprecedented issues as the Shaykh joins. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Oh, I'm going to make him co-host.
So there's been a lot of unprecedented issues that people have been dealing with. I know that the American Muslim Jurist Association, AMZA, has been, just working really hard to create and to present declarations on all of these questions that people have really only experienced and maybe never even experienced in our lifetimes. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we'll be answering as many questions as we can within the scheduled hour. And today looks like he's joining us. Jeff, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
You're welcome. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. So what we're going to be doing is, there's a lot of questions, of course, with regards to ibadat, a lot of acts of worship that we've never really, everything from Salatul Juma being prayed as Dhuhr at home, masajid being shut down. There's a lot that we really want to get into. And so if you could just begin with a little bit of, just perspective on what you've been seeing on the ground, not just Houston, but nationwide over the past 2 weeks.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala wa ba'd. First of all, I would like to say that I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his names and attributes to relieve this disaster and this epidemic that the world is suffering from. We believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more in such time. ما أصاب من مصيبة إلا بإذن الله ومن يؤمن بالله يهدي قلبه. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that any calamity struck you, it is by the will of Allah, and whoever Allah guide his or their hearts, whoever believe, Allah will guide their hearts. So belief is so important in such time. So your heart will be, your iman from inside, your spirit will be high and strong. And this is something so important to keep checking, increasing, helping one another, not only in food and financially, but also in spirituality and making sure that we are strong from inside. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our protector, and he is the one who will always be there for us. But before I answer these questions in regard to what's happening, there's two things I want you to reflect upon with me. Number one is we see how that great need of the scholars in such time. Sometimes we kind of, don't see the importance of the role of the scholars in our life, in our community. But now when all these things happen and you need fatwas and you need answer for these new things and these circumstances, you see that the Muslim community turn to their scholars. And this is something show you the value of those scholars in the time when you need them the most. And I hope and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our imams and leaders, religious leaders in America and around the world will stand up for their community, and they will be there for them, answering the questions. And we see how the Sharia is filled with solutions in a time like this, and guidelines to guide us in such time. Number two, I'm sure many of you have seen these videos of mu'adhin crying while they're giving adhan and nobody can come to the masjid. Today in Texas, the governor made an executive order that no more than 10 people can be gathering at one time. Now we talking about closing down masajids. Already there is many masajid did that. No Jumu'ah, no Salat. It is very hard for the mu'min when he see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strip from you access to do good, access to increase your rewards, access to, to erase your sins. Since this whole coronavirus started, we used to shake everybody, to shake each other's hands. And every time I shake your hand, my sins fall from my record and removed from my record the way that when you shake a dry tree and how the leaves falling down. That's how the Prophet said, every time you shake your brother's or a sister shake another sister's hand, that's what will happen to them. Can you imagine? You can't do that. Allah haramak had. Allah took away from you this ability. It's the worst thing that ever can happen to a believer and to happen to a person. Not that Allah take away from us health or money or children or whatever you think of, is the ability to do more good. Can you imagine just you can't do Umrah anymore? You can't do Salat al-Jama'ah anymore. You can't do Salat al-Juma in many places. Allah take it away from us. This is scary. This is so terrifying when you think about it. And it is something required from us to be serious in repentance and begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this is not the result of anger at us. And that also in the same time direct us to something that Allah loves so much, which is at-tawbah, repentance, changing our life. In order for this circumstances that we're living in to be changed, we need to change ourselves. Inna Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawm hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change our circumstances and what's happening to us unless we change. And one of the things that need to be changed is our relationship with Allah. So with all these rules that we're giving exceptions to it, goes back to this point that it really wouldn't, the point is not what kind of exit I have for you. I think the ultimate exit for us today is to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to hold into the little bit that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have left for us to use to increase our iman and to raise our sins. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower us with His mercy and to forgive all of us. And inshallah, I will be happy to take your questions and answer them accordingly. So Ammar, you can start with whatever questions we gathered, the common questions that we've been seeing going around. And I will make sure that you can make it as short as possible.
So the first one, Shaykh, is with regards to movement, actually. So what's the ruling on leaving a place where the virus is spread? You have people who are traveling from Europe to the United States. You have some cities that are under quarantine. Is it allowed for a person to leave that in light of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ?
This is an issue that al-Fuqaha rahimahullah talked about in regard to hadith al-Bukhari, Muslim hadith Abdurrahman ibn Auf, that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you hear, إذا كان في أرض, if you hear about there is a land where is the plague, do not enter it, do not leave it. But this issue of not entering and not leave it, is it absolutely you're not allowed to leave if there is any type of pandemic or epidemic in this area or this region? Is this apply also to the flu, for example? If there is an epidemic of flu, does that apply for all kind of sickness, or it is only to the plague? So ulama have different positions in relation to this, and many of the scholars said, actually there is almost agreement among the scholars saying that the person who is in a land of infected land, or there is a pandemic, if that person is not infected and it's safe for him to leave the place, he is allowed to leave. And that's why Umar radiallahu anhu arda, he asked Abu Ubaidah to leave the place where the plague was and to leave it. And also that's why Amr ibn al-As, he asked the people to leave the land where the plague was and to go separate in a very small groups or individuals around to the mountains. So they didn't believe that, stay there until it ends or not. But also, some ulama said that you don't run away because you don't believe in al-qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But those who leave it, ulama rahimahullah said, if somebody also can leave it because there is a cure somewhere else, he will be moved to a hospital, qalid dawa, or important work, and this person is safe for him to leave. That's why I will say that by looking at the older debate between the scholars, rahimahumullah ta'ala, is interesting to see that. But also it is more important for us to understand that this has to be consulted with public health officials, people who are specialized in infectious diseases, and they will basically make that call if it is safe for those people to leave or travel from one place to another. Also depends if that person is infected or not, and the type of virus and the type of disease. So for example, if you tell me right now, if you are, for example, in New York or Florida, or there's a place with outbreak, or Seattle, and you want to go to your home, and you're basically no restrictions on traveling or ban on traveling, and you are safe, it is okay. If it is something and you put yourself in self-quarantine and you follow the basic directions, that will be fine. So this is different than when it is no, it's not safe at all, and all, like doctors and public health officials said no, you can't leave. And that's why العلماء رحمهم الله تعالى differentiate also between the plague and the epidemic diseases or viruses. Plague is a bacteria, like viruses like what we see. So you will find that ulama said, even the hadith of Rahman Auf, they said don't leave the land, was referring to the plague, not referring to any type of viruses or infectious diseases. And al-Bukhari rahimahullah, if you look at his Sahih, it's interesting. He brought the hadith where it says not allowed to leave the land where plague is, but also he said, "Bab man kharaja min ardin la tulaimuh." He said, the Bukhari rahimahullah said, leaving a land, there is a chapter, leaving a land that it doesn't fit you. This land is infected, and this land is not safe for you to be there. So because of this, I leave it. And he mentioned this, and he mentioned the hadith in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where a group of people came to the Prophet sallallahu in Medina, and they were infected. The weather in Medina was not good, and they got sick. So in Nabi sallallahu and the sickness spread among them. And Nabi sallallahu allowed them, because they have herds and stuff like that. He said, you stay outside of Medina, you can go behind your your camels, behind the eagles, and follow them and be around the Medina, don't enter. So Nabi allowed them to leave actually, and to go look after their businesses. So Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar and others said, Al-Bukhari rahimahullah bringing this chapter after the chapter of not entering a land of a plague and leaving it, is to make that distinguish and to lean towards the distinguish between a ta'un, the plague, and any infection diseases. And also at the same time in the permissibility of leaving if it is safe. Yes.
So Sheikh, does that answer the question of the Prophet ﷺ saying that plague and the Dajjal do not enter Medina, and yet we see that Medina is shut down right now, Mecca is shut down?
Plague will not enter Mecca and Medina as far as we know from the Prophet ﷺ's hadith, even the famous hadith in Bukhari that النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في البخاري ومسلم قال لا يدخلها الطاعون ولا الدجال, the false Messiah and طاعون will not enter Medina. But also there is another narration in hadith Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu says that Mecca and Medina. So these two cities are protected from plague. But does that mean they are protected from infectious diseases? No, that's not true. You just heard me saying that the Ru'at, these Bedouins who came to the Prophet got infected and they were very sick. And Bukhari reported an Abil Aswad, he said, I came to Medina and there were a disease spread in Medina and they were dying in tens of them daily. قال يموتون موتا ذريعا, a large number of them dying every day. And I talked to Umar ibn al-Khattab, that during Umar al-Khattab time. Okay, so that means in Medina have these kind of diseases, and Mecca, historically speaking, there is a lot. Even some ulama said there is a plague happened in Mecca in 749 Hijri, but Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah said it wasn't a plague, it was a disease, like an infectious disease, epidemic. So that's why we differentiate between the two, and we say Mecca and Medina are not protected from any pandemic or outbreak of viruses like what we see today.
Yeah, okay. So, and for those of you who are interested, our colleague Sheikh Hasib Noor, he wrote an actual a pretty extensive study on this topic, on the issue of the plagues in Medina, and I would encourage you to check that out from his Legacy Institute. If I can find, it's actually called Prophetic Guidance on Epidemic Disease. Prophetic Guidance on Epidemic Disease. So, that being said, Sheikh, let's continue. So we have, the next question is, many masajid have, now we're getting into the Jum'ah prayer section, and this is, many masajid have suspended Jum'ah prayers. Is it allowed for masajid, is it correct for them to suspend Jum'ah prayers? And what should we do if that happens in our community?
Suspending Jumu'ah is allowed in cases where, for example, in our community today, if there is a quarantine, mandate quarantine, or an executive order by the mayor or the governor or the federal government, I don't know if they can do that here in the States, but wherever you live, that it became not allowed and illegal for people to gather, period. So if this is the case, Jumu'ah cannot be established because nobody can leave and congregate in any form or any shape in any number. But if there is a limit was put, like let's say in Texas today, our governor said 10 people, that's it, not more than 10 people. We say that those 10 people can come and pray the Jumu'ah by themselves. At least the Sha'iratul Islam, the Sha'iratul Jumu'ah, the Salah itself still exists, and it's not completely abandoned from the masjid. And if it's safe, but if it is not safe and they cannot take the precautions that will guarantee a safety for them, they should not come. And if there's a sick person, is not allowed to come to the Jumu'ah or to the Jama'ah or to the regular prayer. A person who has someone sick at home, or elderly, or pregnant woman, or an infant, or someone with their immune system is compromised, not allowed to come to Jumu'ah or to Jama'ah because of the fear of delivering that virus to the people. Though, as you know, the coronavirus is a very contagious virus, the COVID-19. It's very contagious, and it's not safe for so many people to be gathering if they don't follow the precautions. We're saying still this very small number of people can pray, even if it's limited to a less number than that. They can.
So we're saying 7-8 people can come and pray together.
Yes, actually, Shawkani rahimahullah allowed al-Jumu'ah by 2 people, imam and a male, one person, to listen to the khutbah. And you have al-Hanabila, some of them, and that's the choice of Shaykh al-Islam rahimahullah, said an imam and 2 people. And the reason they said that, because on some of the hadith, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا يُؤَذِّنْ أَحَدُكُمْ وَلْيُصَلِّ بِكُمَا. One of you call the adhan, and one of you lead both of you. So he means.
So when we say 2 people, Sheikh, we're talking about 2 male residents, adults.
Yes, and also could Ahnaf, for example, said 3, the imam and 3 listeners. Abu Yusuf said 2, Abu Hanifa said 3, other than the imam. So if you want to at least, look at, many scholars said if it is allowed by an imam and 3 people listening to the khatib, so 4 people will establish jama'ah. They keep their distance from one another, and they make it short, and that's the Jumu'ah established. I know it's a more of a symbolic thing, but it is something that it shows a level of commitment, and also this is something that hopefully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees us and sees how we are in a great need and desperate for him, and that's hopefully will make the heart realize that this Jumu'ah that we used to come to it and we take it for granted is not for granted anymore. The Jumu'ah that we go to it half sleeve and we don't care, now even can't come to it. And it is fascinating how I see people maybe never in their life cared for Jumu'ah that much. Now they are so, talking about it and Jama'ah. And I hope after this will go away, that will lead to an increased number of people coming to the Jumu'ah and Jama'ah. And people feel, because when you miss something, you know the value of it. But when you have it for granted, you just kind of lose its value. So I hope that's one of the benefits of what we're living in today.
I'm actually amazed myself, Sheikh. I've gotten so many questions with regards to, can we listen to a live stream lecture for Juma and then pray together 2 rak'ahs as a family, 4 rak'ahs as a family? So what actually would be the case in that sense? Tomorrow's Friday, Juma. Can we watch a live stream and then just pray together as a family at home?
Okay. You can watch the khutbah from home or from wherever you at, but you cannot follow the imam. You cannot pray Juma with them online. I don't know anyone among the 4 madahib, fuqaha al-madahib, ulama, will give any form of like opinions or something like that. Because you might say, oh, there's no internet in their time. Yeah, but they talked about the issue of praying and following the jama'ah from a very far distance. You know, fuqaha have a great deal of discussion over that. Some of them like 300 dirah, which is about 150 meters away from each other. That's the maximum. And they meant because that's how people can see each other, can listen to them, can listen to the to the takbir and can see them. But to say that someone lived completely very far away and will follow them, because what is the Jumu'ah and Jama'ah mean? It means we come together. But that's not happening. That's not coming together. That just goes against the idea behind the hikmah and the reason, the wisdom behind Salatul Jumu'ah al-Jama'ah is to come together, to be together. And that's not happening. That's why I don't believe you need to do that. You just pray dhuhr. But you can listen to that khutbah online, like you listen to any mu'idah or reminder, but you pray dhuhr for rak'ahs. And I don't know any reliable scholars actually or a fatwa committee will allow such practice. I'm aware of a couple of here and there, but this is something dangerous. This is, everybody else say that invalid salah, you know, and that's not something you want to take the risk in it. You just pray dhuhr, alhamdulillah. Everybody say you are allowed to pray dhuhr. And also, what will happen if the internet slow down while you are in your first rak'ah or cut the connection cut? How are you going to follow the imam? So it's kind of a chaos, and I don't recommend that. Can you pray at home with your family, Tayyib? Like one of you guys give the khutbah, since we have 4 males in the house or neighbors. What I would like to remind each other, the whole point is not to congregate, social distance. So please don't turn your homes to another prayer area where you encourage the people in the apartments next to you and the neighborhoods and we pray together. And we don't want this because the whole point is the social distance. I can't emphasize enough on the importance of, you know, self-quarantine type of, or you know, being disciplined in those things. I know it's boring, but that's what it is. So that's number one.
What if it's one family though, Sheikh? What if it's one family? We have, yeah, a big family.
Yeah. You know, Amja in their fatwa, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists in North America, that's the majority of the fuqaha. The Shafi'i, the Hanbali, the Hanafi did not make a masjid as a condition for establishing salah. Okay, but also remember, those fuqaha did not say did not allow in their time people to have Jumu'ah, every family pray them by themselves in the houses. But they said we should pray together in the Masjid al-Jami'. They talk about not multiple jama'ah because they want people to gather. But I think in this circumstances, since al-masjid is not a condition, okay, maybe people in open space with a large distance from each other can pray together, or in the backyard of their home, like if there's a big family, they are allowed to pray Jumu'ah according to the fatwa of Amja. I'm not personally, I don't encourage that because I don't want this to be a door to be open later on. We don't go to the masajid and every 5 people at work just pray Jumu'ah and no need to go to the masjid. I only allow this for people who can't go to the masjid, who it is very hard for them to go to the masjid. I allowed this for people like, I remember I visited the Muslims in Boeing in Seattle. It's like a whole community there. Okay, they can pray there, you know, in their workplace. There's 100 person in that building or in that factory. They can pray together. They don't need to go to the masjid. They have their own Jumu'ah. But in this case, I prefer for you to pray dhuhr. And if they pray Jumu'ah, there is a very strong argument to support that practice.
So this brings us to, should the,
I want to make a comment on something you said earlier, Ammar. Closing down the masajid in front of the people, and there is no order from the government to do so, and completely shut it down. I understand the logic behind it, but I think it is important for us also to remember that there is people, their heart attached to the masajid. Sometimes people call me and talk to me, and I ask them, do you regularly go to the masjid? He said, no, I pray Juma usually. And that's the problem when people who are not actually attached to the masjid and coming regularly to the masjid. They don't know what that means. So many of our elder and our community member who can be devastated.
Yeah.
Really, it is very hard for many people. Very hard for me to tell me don't come to the masjid. It's really very hard. So I think people, it's important also to understand that people are psychologically strong. But what I want precautions to be taken. I want people to follow the rules. If they said limited to 50 or limited to 20 or limited to 10, follow that rules. Even if you have multiple jama'ah or multiple group coming, as long as you take, if you can control it, understand. But we do our best. We still go and congregate at number to a certain extent in banks and grocery stores and park and stuff like that. We're keeping the distance between each other. Why can't we do that if the masjid allowed and the size allowed? And that's where leadership comes. Like I was talking to Imam yesterday, he said, oh, people is not going to listen to me. No, they listen to you. Even if you have to bring, an officer to limit the number and to say people have to be disciplined. But I don't think closing it down completely, since there is no order, is that something I will encourage, unless you can't control it. And you know what? I don't have enough manpower or volunteer to do that. I understand that in this case.
Yeah, I definitely see that it's an issue of leadership, because, I remember a couple of days ago, I prayed in a masjid. When khalas, I was practicing social distancing before everybody else, at least in that community. And this brings us to the next question, actually, which is praying and creating space between the musallin. Is that something that's legislated? Because people were still filling all the gaps. People were just coming and standing shoulder to shoulder and right next to you, right? And the imam prayed for maybe 20 minutes. And so there wasn't that consideration and these sensitivities and these guidelines that we've seen in some of the masajid that actually were able to stay open beyond or up until today even. So social distancing in the salah itself, is that allowed, standing 6 feet away from each other?
Obviously, standing away from each other in salah is something against the norm. That's not how we line up. That's not how we're supposed to be in the line. We're supposed to come closer to each other. But if we can do that because of health reasons and because of the person can be either pass that virus to someone else or take it from someone else, and that the recommended distance by doctors, and by the way, there is no even 100% about the 6 feet, can be more, can be less, a little bit, but that's what the CDC, for example, recommended, and other health professional recommended so far.
Which is, for the United States, for those of you who aren't from the US, that's the Center for Disease Control. When he says CDC, he means the Center for Disease Control. And
also they recommended that limit any gathering of 10 minutes and stuff of that nature. So we try to do that. And that's where the tawakkul comes after that. We take the asbab, the precautions that we have. Then after that, we basically depends on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yes, it is allowed in the circumstances to keep the distance, because I do believe that this is better than canceling the Juma, better than canceling the Salah, better than not praying at all. Okay? And make the Salah short. Please don't read 2 pages in the rak'ah and just, the more Salah, the more khushu'. Now make it short. You want to make it long Salah, pray by yourself or pray in your nafil. Make your dua, if you make dua short. So less than the time that they recommend for you. Many also people told me that if the salah is very short, like 2, 3, 4 minutes, for example, and they're not facing each other, they're going straight, they can pray next to each other. And that's what I practice on my message so far. But when it comes to sitting before salah and after salah and during Jum'ah, we keep a 6 feet distance. But if you do that in the salah as well, I don't see this invalidate your salah. Because if this is what it takes to have the salah, Yes, because العلماء رحمه الله they say الضرورة تقدر بقدرها يعني الميسور لا يسقط بالمعسور لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. All these evidence telling us, these principles of Sharia, telling us that we can do whatever we capable of. إذا أمرتكم بأمر فأتوا منه ما استطعتم. If I order you to do something, do your best. So Allah, the Prophet ordered us to come closer to each other. So the closest thing we can come to each other is 6. That's what we are capable of right now. So that's why we do that.
But Sheikh, the closest thing that I can do is feet to feet, shoulder to shoulder, and have tawakkul in Allah. How about that?
If this is something that will lead to being infected, that's not correct. You know, tawakkul ala Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is not how it works. In Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when a Majdoom came to give him bay'ah, Nabi Sallallahu did not even let him enter Medina. He said, you stay outside the city of Medina and someone else speak on your, he will take the bay'ah on your behalf. And that person has skin disease. You know, that's not correct. Nabi Sallallahu is the best with tawakkul. Nabi Sallallahu said, La yurad mumrid ala musih. Don't expose healthy person to someone who is sick. And he is the one who said that, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to us.
So that's
Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah was asked about if someone in the city who have a disease that is contagious disease, is it allowed for the people of the city to put a quarantine on that person? Not allow that person to come, not allow the person to live in the city. They take him outside the city. He said yes. So, and that's understandable. So we say there's no contradiction between the tawakkul and taking the precaution. We're not saying that you're immune from the disease completely. No, you still can get the disease, even with all sanitizers that you've been using in the world. You still can get it. But take what you're capable of and leave the rest of Allah. That's what brings calmness to the heart. I do my best and the rest I leave it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever happened after that is the best for me.
So is there a worry now with regards to the amount of Jum'ahs? Already a number of people have missed last week's Jum'ah, they missed the second or the third. Is there some sort of threat to missing a certain amount of Jum'ahs? How many Jum'ahs can a person miss?
Yes, the hadith of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, those who miss 3 Jum'ahs, Allah seal their hearts with the seal of hypocrisy or something of that nature. This hadith talked about people who miss it who out of negligence, like they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, but not about you. Inshallah, take the same reward of every Jum'ah that when you take it, because you are not going to Jum'ah for a valid excuse. So it doesn't matter if it lasts for a year or so. في البداية والنهاية ابن كثير رحمه الله was talking about many incidents where, historically speaking, al-Jum'ah was al-Jama'at, the masajid were abandoned for a while because of plagues. People used to die in large numbers, and there is no gathering of any form or shape. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us, Ya Rab, and hopefully things will go back soon.
Sheikh, we've seen these viral videos of muezzins, and you as well mentioned muezzins crying, and we're hearing a phrase, you know, صلوا في رحالكم, صلوا في رحالكم, pray in your places. So what does that mean, and is that allowed? When is it legislated?
صلوا في رحالكم, in Bukhari Muslim, صلوا في بيوتكم, pray at your homes. It means that the muezzin will say either in the end of the adhan, after he said La ilaha illallah, صلوا في رحالكم, or after he said حي على الصلاة, حي على الفلاح, he say صلوا في رحالكم. Okay, and even some ulama said don't say حي على الصلاة, but that's not a very strong evidence or opinion, not a very strong opinion. But after you say حي على الصلاة, حي على الفلاح, you say صلوا في رحالكم, صلوا في رحالكم. Then after that say or صلوا في بيوتكم, pray at your home. That means don't come to the masjid. And I'm telling everybody listening to me today, please, I advise you to reduce the amount of interacting with people, and that means pray at home. Pray at home as much and as many as you can. That helps. We are, for example, in the United States and Canada and so many other places, we need to flatten the curve of that virus, and that will not happen by congregating. Okay. So I ask everybody to be disciplined about this and to take the recommendations of the scholars. Wallahi, nobody wants to see more people in masjid than us. And it's very sad and very hard for me to say that today. And please, anybody telling me, oh, we go to the masjid to make dua at home. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listen to you wherever you're at. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't, I'm not telling you abandon the salah. I'm telling you pray more at home. But for gathering in the masajid, and there's some masajid that still have 200-300 people coming. That's just what you all heard about what happened when the gathering in Malaysia, of a religious gathering that led to spiking the number of people who infected. We don't want that, And also, I have a message to my, I know maybe I don't have much listeners from the Shia community, but there's a lot of people in the Shia community and some Sunni community as well who keep saying that, and I'm not talking about from a theological anything like that as much as right now, but I care about every person, okay? There is no wali, there is no imam, there is no dead, there is no shrine gonna protect you from the disease. The one who protects you from the disease is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the means and the cautions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala order us to take. And the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which it means the rules that Allah have put on earth, medicines and listen to doctors and the specialists. This is the time we should not pray to anyone other than Allah. We should not pray to any saint or any righteous person or any dead person or any imam or any individual. This is the time where even Kuffar Quraysh got it correct. The Kuffar of Quraysh, in the time of calamity, they pray to Allah mukhlisina al-din. So please, this is because I see, and also all these things that people made up. Hey, you know what? I saw the Prophet in my dream, and the Prophet told me, and this is going viral these days. The Prophet said, say this and this, and you don't care about coronavirus, and coronavirus will end. No, ya habibi, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not a doctor. Allah didn't send him to send the prescriptions for us. Allah sent him to guide us. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after he died, he's not a mean of communication. He cannot legislate for us. He cannot come and tell you, say this 103 times and this number of times, and you will be. That's new legislations. And there is no new legislation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that today the deen was completed. If somebody said, yes, but the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so in the dream, and when you see the Prophet in the dream, you have seen him. It's not the shaitan or anything like that. And the ulama answered that. And Nawawi rahimahullah and many other scholars said, yeah, you maybe saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the dream, and maybe that's him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But there is nothing to tell you that the voice that you heard is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's voice. It can be the voice of the shaitan. It can be the voice to mislead you. And Ibn Kathir and Nawawi, Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, many scholars talked about that before. It's not something new, that every time a calamity and a problem happened, somebody said, I saw the Prophet in my dream and he told me pray this amount of rak'ah, do this amount of adhkar. All these are bid'ah and innovations that should be very careful from falling into these practices. We want to go back to Allah, and going back to Allah means going back to this pure religion. Going back to Allah means to practice and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way pleases Him. That's what is the whole point of this shake that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the shaking that we are experiencing. Allah shaking us to wake us up. Yes.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, so our next question, we're switching topics a little bit now.
There's one issue about Juma, if you allow me.
Yes.
About, can we pray Juma before Dhuhr time?
Yes.
Since people are asking me. You know, the Hanafi, the Maliki, the Shafi'i said Juma should not be prayed until the Dhuhr time entered. And because Salah ibn al-Akwa radiallahu anhu said, Kunna nusalli ma'an, kunna najma'an. And we used to pray Juma with the Prophet sallallahu إِذَا زَالَتِ الشَّمْسِ, when the sun moved from the middle of the sky, which means the Dhuhr time started. But also the Hanabila, rahimahullah, have many evidence to support their opinion that it can be prayed before Dhuhr, okay? Before Dhuhr time. And one example, Sahih Muslim, that Jabir radiallahu anhu said, كان يصلي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم نذهب إلى جمالنا فنريحها حتى تزول الشمس. We used to pray before the zawal, before the sun moved from the middle of the sky. So Jabir said, we used to pray with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that before the Dhuhr time start. And Sahal ibn Sa'id also for Bukhari Muslim said a hadith that in the same meaning. ما كنا نقيل ولا نتغدى. We didn't eat lunch or take our nap in Friday until we pray Friday first. And by the Qutayba and others said, in Arabic language, that means it took place definitely before Dhuhr time. Because that's what, when they used to eat and used to take the nap. Okay? So this is an opinion of debate. Alhamdulillah, it's better and it's the most common practice of the Prophet ﷺ that he prayed after Dhuhr time. And that's what we should try to do year long. But that's a rukhsa. We use, for someone said, we have exams, my work would not allow me for lunch hour. For circumstance, I think this is the time where this opinion of the fuqaha can bring ease, and the khilaf of fuqaha bring ease to us in such matter. So yes, it is allowed to start early in the day. Let's say some people are quarantined after 1 o'clock or something like that. You can pray Juma if it's allowed to gather. If you do multiple Juma as well. Yes.
Well, that brings up the multiple Jum'ahs. Are you a supporter of just, so for example, here in Texas, we've got 9 or 10 amounts of, 10 is the amount of people that we have a limit to, that you do 3 or 4 or simply 2 if a masjid has the resources in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. But just make sure that entering and leaving at the same time doesn't contradict. There is no like you keep a space between them. Yes.
And you mentioned that it's a sha'ira, and
but
you mentioned
it's not wajib on them. I do believe one at least is wajib to be done. But other than that, if they can
for the masjid.
Yeah.
Okay. And so moving on just to the notion of from the Jum'ah to that person actually themselves with regards to the coronavirus, and we just had our first case of someone passing away yesterday. With these types of contagious diseases, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on them. How do we deal with these with regards to the burial? If touching them is contagious, how do we deal with the body, washing the body of such a person, the burial of that person? Especially in circumstances, even if I could add, where the family might not have access to that individual anymore.
Yeah, I watched a video actually of the brother who died in Malaysia. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him and give sabr to his family and to all the families who have been losing their loved ones and are going through a hard time these days. I would say all depends on what the recommendation of the health experts say. So if they told us we're not allowed to touch, can we do gloves? Can we put, protections like mask and things of that nature? But yes, the dead person doesn't breathe to you and does a sneeze or cough, but the sweat of the person can carry the disease. The urine, the feces can have the disease. There's no basically no guarantee that
it's still contagious after death. It's still contagious after
still
death.
Can be contagious after death. So if you can, the question will be, are the brother who work and sisters who work in funeral homes in America, are they trained for such things? And that's something we should look into it after this problem, that we should train our brother and sister who work in funeral home how to do. But I think they take some, if they are licensed, it's a study for I think a couple of years or 3 years or something like that to be certified. And part of the training that they do, they actually train them how to deal with people with contagious. I'm not sure, but I remember coming across something like that. But at least we should make sure that they are trained. And if they're trained, are they expert? Are they safe? All these take in consideration. So if we got all this on hand, and they can do that and handle it, and the place that they do it, it can be sanitized after that. Yes, but it's not. And that's the case I saw in Malaysia, for example, and other places as well, that what they do, they give the body in a bag. So if this is the case, if you do in the bag, in this case, some of the fuqaha said you do tayammum for the person. Basically, you put the hand on the sand. Maybe you wear gloves and you put it on the in the hand and the face of the person after they die, inside the back, if you want. I don't lean towards that opinion. I think in this case, you just take the bag and you pray funeral on the person. If they allowed this to be done by people, allow it. If they don't even allow it, you wait until they are buried. And after they are buried, the family can go to the grave and pray on the persons after the person is buried. If we reach to a level that they don't even allow you to go to they bury them in a very different places or have no access to it, or they will burn the body. In this case, you just pray janazah al-ghaib, an absent janazah on the person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. And Shaykh Abu Isa has a very good video he posted in regard to this. I advise you to listen to it as well.
Would it be permissible for them to burn the body?
To what?
Would it be permissible for the family to allow the body to be burned, or what would that, like, what was that?
If that's what the health experts say, yes.
So if we couldn't, and Sheikh, you mentioned them going to the grave. I just want to say
something about health experts. There's two, like al-atibba, like the fuqaha, have many different opinions. But if it's the law of the country said nobody is allowed, you can't do anything about that. But if you see recommendations, I advise you to consult multiple people on things like those, or to go to reference. Like in America, for example, we do have a lot of big institutes that we know it's non-political when it comes to issues like this. You know, institutes with the big universities and research centers. So those are the people that are experts. I will take their opinion in such matters.
So, Sheikh, you mentioned the notion of Salat al-Janazah. Salat al-Janazah, if that person is buried and the family is able to go, then wonderful and great. They're able to go to the actual grave and pray over that person. But especially in these types of circumstances, you're going to find a lot of people who have incredible relationships with this individual who are not able to go to the grave. Is it allowed for them to then pray Salat al-Ghaib? Are we allowed as communities to pray Salat al-Ghaib over individuals? How does that work?
I don't believe Salat al-Ghaib is allowed to be done for somebody already offers Salat al-Janazah on that person. So if there's a family member offers Salat al-Janazah on that person, doctors in the hospitals, or whoever, like Muslim doctors did that and offer that, or in this case, there is no Salat al-Ghaib on the person.
So Salat al-Ghaib, for those of you who don't know, it's prayer in absentia. So it's when you pray Salat al-Janazah over a person without being there.
The question will be, what if they never prayed Janazah on him until he was buried?
Yeah.
So after he was buried, and there's some people went and prayed Janazah on him after he's buried. Can other people in other places make Salat al-Janazah on them? Because, you know, technically no Salat al-Janazah, because Salat al-Janazah should take, Salat al-Mayyit technically should take place before what? Before the burial, not after.
Yeah.
So, but after the burial, can the janazah be done multiple times? Yes. Can be done in absence? I do believe, I will lean towards yes, if this is the case. If they never prayed on him before burial, there's multiple places, multiple people, family member can pray, even, especially this circumstance, maybe not allowed to go to that funeral or allowed to go to the cemetery. So they can pray janazah on him in their homes. Even multiple ones in multiple different homes. Like uncle, for example, has many cousins or many brothers in different places. We can do.
Does it have to be done collectively or can it be done individually?
Both can be done. Salat al-Janazah doesn't need to be in Jama'ah congregation.
Okay, great. So, Sheikh, wearing an N95 mask is required for wearing the mask, the N95 mask. Mm-hmm. Is required for a lot of people who are in the health field to do their work, whether it's nurses, whether it's doctors, and wearing it requires shaving the beard. Is it allowed for them to shave?
You know, I posted this on my Facebook before, and I found out that there's a lot of people told me it's not necessarily to shave the beard. Some people, even health care, told me that you wear this mask, but it looks like there's a different type of mask. So if the type of mask that you have in your hospital, it is mandatory for you to shave the beard completely, you are allowed to protect yourself and to do your job. But ask first, maybe you're allowed to trim it, to be trimmed to the minimum. And if this is the case, you keep the minimum of the beard. So we just don't go to the shaving completely, but we ask if this can I trim it to the minimum? Can I just keep part of it? And so forth. Why? Because of ضرورة تقدر بقدرها. If I have to do something because of necessity, this necessity, I have to do it according to the need. Like, for example, if somebody about to die, okay, and the only thing he had, you know, wine and pork. Then he ate some from the meat of the pork just to survive. He can say, okay, since I ate it, I just fought with a glass of wine just to make it a full dinner. He can do that. You're not allowed to touch the wine. You see what I'm saying? Because the Lura doesn't, you only need the minimum.
The meat gets stuck, Sheikh. The meat gets stuck in his throat.
Oh, that's the case. Yes. Because I do believe shaving the beard is haram.
So this is one of the most interesting.
That's not my belief. That's the opinion of the four madahib and the Jamahir al-Fuqaha. Kid shaving completely is not allowed. That's what the Prophet ﷺ clearly stated in the hadith, ordering us to have a beard. Yes.
So we've experienced, you know, just incredible demand for toilet paper that we've never seen before in our lives. And it's become incredibly rare. We've seen all the memes and the photos and the jokes. With toilet paper that rare, is it allowed for a person to make istinja with just one sheet so that they're not using toilet paper and saving as much as they can?
As long as there's inqa, as long as there is removal of the najasa, it is allowed. So, and I don't believe that you need three. I don't believe the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he said that the three stones or it means the number meant. It means just to make sure that you are completely clean. That's why Fuqaha said if you have a stone and have three sides, you can use the three sides to clean yourself with. So if one is enough, one is enough. And also I want to say, alhamdulillah, we as Muslims, one of the great things that we have something called istinja, which is ashra min al-fitra. It's part of the fitra that's using water. You know, that's the bidet when it comes to the benefit of having that. And having that, people have many different ways of using water inside the bathrooms. You know, the thing that you use for watering the plant, you know, that container, basically having it to use it to clean yourself, and that should be enough. You know, many places in the world, by the way, don't know what toilet paper means. Just for you guys to know, you know, my kids joke, laugh at me, and I don't know if I should say that or not, but my kids laugh at me and tell them, like, I grew up in a place and a time that we don't know what's toilet paper. I don't know what toilet paper is. Like in my youth and my, you know, teenagers, I never in my life know what that is. I never seen it in my life in any house that I know of. You know, we just use water. Or like, this is how we grew up. And by the way, I'm not like 80 years old or some person came from Jurassic Park or something like that. No, I'm still relatively young, but just it's a different world when it comes to the Western world. Okay, so yes, you can survive with it, but just make sure that you clean your hands. I'm glad that we don't shake hands these days, but
yeah, that's a great point. So, but that brings up a couple of questions as well, which is number one, when you say until it is clean, what does that mean as far as the toilet paper goes? Number
like, for example, urine, there's no drop, there's no color anymore. So when you, let's say you have one sheet. Okay, let me get you an actual.
But you know, urine's going to be the easy one. So.
Okay. So you have one tissue like this. You just can fold it so it will not go through it, and like that. And you just do it from one side, then you can fold it into another side. And so, and also, when it comes to the filth, you know, if people are different in the way they basically, based on the type of food that they eat, the amount of filth that comes out of the body. So you do your best and use the water, then you can use that if you want. You just do your best. My point is, you don't need to have three different. If you can clean yourself, that's enough. And by the way, when it comes to the filth, it means that the actual feces is completely nothing attached to it. And when you wipe, it is clean, you know?
Okay, that's what I was, okay. And by the way, Shaykh Waleed has a really extensive series on Tahara that you can check out on YouTube, his explanation of Bulugh al-Maram. And this has been a series that's been going on for the past, I want to say 3 years, maybe even 4. And so from Tahara to Salah to right now, he's doing the book of etiquettes. You'll find all of that, as well as Siyam, as well as, Shaykh, did you do Umrah and Hajj or?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, so all of this you'll find on YouTube. Just look up Shaykh Waleed's channel. It's incredibly extensive. So you'll find a lot more there. We don't have much more time. We've got 3 minutes left, so we'll knock out whatever questions we can. For those of you who've been typing in questions, Jazakumullah khair, we're going to, I knew that this fiqh series was going to continue to grow because the questions are going to keep coming in, and we're going to slate more of our mashayikh as well, inshallah ta'ala, to answer more of these questions, inshallah, over the next couple of days as well. So, Sheikh, is using hand sanitizers haram, which contains alcohol?
No, it's not haram. That's not khamr. So it is allowed for you to use.
Is it allowed for doctors and first responders to miss Juma and the obligatory prayers?
If they are at work and on call, yes, they are allowed. It's like police officers and people checkpoints.
Ramadan is coming up. If this extends, is it allowed for a person to not fast due to fasting lowering a person's immune system if they fear catching the virus?
This is something you need to talk to your doctor, a Muslim doctor, a person who understands the value of religion, the importance of it. If you have some type of deficiency and you need this kind of supplement, yes. But otherwise, you know, we all, you know, fast, and doesn't mean your immune system dropped tremendously because of that. So unless the doctor tell you so, no, you have to fast.
Is it allowed? Some of our elderly, of course, we know are much more at risk with regards to this coronavirus, and it's much more lethal for them and dangerous for them. Is it allowed for them to reject medication in this time?
Outside, this is taking a medication is a debate between the scholars, and the ruling that I follow when it comes to medication. If you are in a hopeless case, a case where there doesn't really make any difference anymore, in this case, the medicine is permissible. That's why Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu didn't take the medicine when he reached a point when he said death coming. And many of the Salaf said that and did that. Somebody, let's say, have a cancer and a very advanced cancer, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for everybody. And you know what? Medicine is not really going to work. Maybe delay it, maybe, you know, reduce the pain. It's permissible for him to do that, but it's not obligated on him to do that. There's somebody in, you know, in let's say, you know, like life support, and doctor said it's a reversible situation. It's permissible to keep giving the medicine to the person to keep him alive, and it's permissible to remove it. And another type of medicine, which is if you take it, you're cured, and you can, and this sickness preventing you from doing obligations. So if you're going to be sick and you will not be able to pray, you're not going to be able to fast, no, taking medication in this case became wajib. Tadawu ibadallah wa la tadawu bimuharram. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, use medicine, O servants of Allah, but don't use something haram. So in this case, I would say, yes, you must take that medication. If this sickness doesn't really impact you to leave wajib, medication is not wajib. It's permissible. I have a very bad headache. But you know what? I have a virus. I don't want to take the antibiotic. I don't want to take that. I want my body function to fight it. So I want to take it course and goes away. I don't want to take a Tylenol. I don't want to take an Advil. So in this case, taking Tylenol is not wajib. Nobody will say that. It's permissible. Taking the course of antibiotic is not wajib, because still you can function and you can do whatever you want. So that will be the distinguishment I will.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. So last question, is it, and this is people are, I mean, it's just the economy's been completely shaken up. A lot of people have lost a lot of money. A lot of people are staying home. They're not working. Is it allowed for them to take interest-based loans to keep themselves afloat? Number two, to keep their businesses afloat? And number three, is it allowed for them to take out credit cards for the purpose of and not paying their credit card balances for the purpose of basically fear of what's coming up?
Let me start with the last one, which is the credit card. Don't pay the balance, just at least pay the minimum so you don't get interest and penalty. You know, that's number one. Number two, if you don't have money to pay it, I mean, that's the only way to survive, and that's to keep your business or your livelihood to do. I do believe in this circumstances you are allowed to do that, to use a credit card even if it has interest in it, or take a loan with interest. If that's the only means left for you to really survive and not to lose, let's say somebody has a business that will completely collapse. But be careful, because sometimes taking a loan at this time can be also a trap, and you lose more by putting yourself in more problems. But I know many governments are giving now breaks and solutions. I will advise you first to look into other options. Keep that as the last option. And many people also been asking me if it's okay for them to delay zakat for that purpose as well. Yes, it is allowed you to delay the zakat if you don't have cash or you're very short in cash. But I want to remind you also that giving the zakat and sadaqah in such time is very important. Let me end with this, that this is the time where one of the reason that we encourage people to give sadaqah in this time, if you have and Allah give you, because we know that the punishments, and we worry, I'm not saying, I can't talk on behalf of Allah, I'm not his agent here to speak on his behalf, but one thing that worry us, that what we see today is the result of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's anger at us. And nothing can take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's anger at humanity and people like sadaqah. فإن الصدقة تطفئ غضب الرب كما يطفئ الماء النار. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, charity take away Allah's anger the same way water will take away fire. That's why Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said, anytime there is a calamity, anytime there is something struck us, anytime there is a disaster happen, one of the most important things for people to do is to do what? Is to make dua, make tawbah, and to give sadaqah, and to give charity. So that's why I highly recommend each and every one of you to reach out to the people around you, to the Muslim organizations. People need financial support. People need help. I want you to remember, when people deliver food to your door, even though delivery is free by almost all restaurants, but you know what? Tip these guys who bringing you the food and still taking the risk of going around. Tip them well, because they lost their job. You know, especially here in America, people work off tip. A lot of restaurants and places like this. It's hard. When a businessman told me that I have to shut down my business and lay off 95% of my employees, it's not easy. You know, it's not easy for so many, even religious leaders I know lost their job and source of income. No lectures, no classes, no. We in AlMaghrib Institute know that we are going through a tough time as well. It's not easy. It wasn't for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then people like yourself will extend their hands to help our institutes to keep going. I don't know how we're going to go, you know, and keep these homes and employees' houses open. It's hard. It's not easy. Not only the one. It's not easy for the masajid, who are not going to have people coming to the masjid to pay the rent, to pay the payments, to pay the imams. And I know imams now get laid off. Can you imagine? Masjid laid off their imams and give them vacations without pay. You know, it is tough for so many people. So if you, someone who, alhamdulillah, bless you, maybe you have a grocery store or something like that, or you are, you've been selling, making sanitizers, or one of these things that making a lot of money and income, alhamdulillah, these days, and Allah bless you with wealth, please make sure that you reach out to those who are in need, those who are around you. I'm proud of so many organizations who do that. Islamic Relief, one of our sponsors, they put hundreds of thousands of dollars into charity work. I'm very proud of ICNA Relief in my city and around the country here. I've been watching a great job that they're doing. Many organizations. I'm proud of our masajid and our education institute. And I would be biased. Very proud of AlMaghrib team, that instructors, staff, students, qabilas, asking every day, how can we help people? We're not organizing classes, but we can organize food drive, we can organize this, we can help first responder in different cities. And I advise everyone who listens to you from AlMaghrib to reach out to the organization on the ground, help them, volunteer with them. I'm proud of them to have classes for instructors, to give me the opportunity to be connected with you today. And inshallah, we'll see you in another event, another session as well. And that's a very special event. Will be about Ta'un Amwas and lessons from it. It's an amazing experience. So in the end, I just want to say that thank you all, and don't forget, ask yourself, did you start praying more? Did you start reading Quran more? Did you start making longer sujood? Did you start care for the adhkar, that is the best form of protection? Did you start reviewing your life and what's need to be changed in your life? Did you start making some changes in your life? If not, do. Because that's the whole point of what we're going through these days. Ya Rab, Ya Arham Ar-Rahimin, احفظنا بحفظك وكلأنا برعايتك. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من درك الشقاء وشماتة الأعداء وسوء القضاء. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الهم والحزن. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من السوء. نعوذ بكلماتك التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. نعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. نعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعيذكم جميعا بكلماته التامة من كل ما خلق وذرأ وبرأ، ومن شر ما ينزل من السماء، من شر ما يعرج إليها، من شر ما ينزل إلى الأرض، ومن شر ما يخرج منها، ومن شر كل طارق يطرق بليل إلا طارقا بخير يا أرحم الراحمين. يا رحمن الدنيا والآخرة ورحمهما. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا وتب علينا واحفظنا في أموالنا وأهلينا وديارنا. اللهم ارفع عنا، اللهم ارفع عنا، اللهم ارفع عنا. Ya Allah, I ask you to protect us, to protect our family, to protect our communities, our societies, our country. We ask you to bring relief soon and fast to humanity. And I ask you, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to forgive us and to guide us and to protect us and heal the sick and protect those who are healthy. I ask you to protect us, to protect our health, to protect our family, to protect our masajid, to protect our wealth. Ya Allah, I ask you, Ya Arham Ar-Rahimin, I ask you to protect us from the evil of this virus and the evilness of it and the impact and the evil impact of it. You the one who heals, you the one who protect, you the one who control the world, you the one who say kun fayakun, be, and it will be done. So bring relief to the world, Ya Arham Ar-Rahimin, and make the outcome of this experience the best for us and the best for generations to come. Sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you, Ammar. Thank you, everybody in the call.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We're going to wrap up this call, and we'll continue tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, with Sister Sarah.
I have good news to tell you. I'm going to Instagram. So me and Ammar, we talk about this. We're going to do an Instagram together. Yeah. And I will be taking live questions and talking to everybody about Corona and what's happening and what's going on. So please look forward for that. I will send you guys, inshallah, the time for it. but there's a lot of exciting things
You're
happening.
gonna be on Instagram Live, letting people jump in and everything.
Yeah, you know what? I never did that before, but maybe that's one of the benefits.
Okay, so I did my first Instagram Live 3 days ago. It's been a lot of fun. So
okay,
we learned together.
Assalamu alaikum.
I guess.